Hey, IDS 301. Welcome to Module 4. It's Monday. What do we got? Monday the 13th. People talk about Friday the 13th. What about Monday the 13th? Um, and it's about 1:36. Let's get her going here. Let me make sure I'm on the right class here. Okay, I am. Got a couple of links I'm going to add to the announcement that you could take a look at. One of them is could say once again, ASU has been named uh, most innovative university. That's 7 years in a row. Somebody's got, somebody's got, it's good, it's good. I'm sure it's legit. It's ranked number one, seventh year in a row by U.S. News and World Report. That's a big deal again. Because we have a long history of creative reimagining, along with a healthy dose of tenacity and resilience through a period filled with obstacles and uncertainty. I agree 100%. I'm going to include this link because innovation, yawn number one. I didn't yawn all day. Okay, so yeah, innovation. So I'll include that. And then I'm going to include this one here. That's by ASU News. Betting big on sports betting. I don't know if that the word, I got to check and see if they're not, if is that a mirror image or is that the right image? Well, the reason I highlight that is because I'm going to start taking bets from everybody. I want to just think about this topic, this issue. Sports betting in Arizona is now legal, so all my timelines and everything are getting just slammed by every betting uh, entity from Caesar's Palace to all of them online, and they're offering up to $500 to add to your deposit if you start betting. Um, that should give you some indication of how much they're willing to risk because they're not risking really at all. But the thing I want to talk about here is not some kind of moral lecture, values and everything. It's that this is an interdisciplinary topic. It's a complex problem. And, because every state doesn't have gambling, like every state didn't have marijuana legalization laws. These are complex topics that interdisciplinarians are well positioned to contribute and analyze. Okay. So if you look at betting big on sports, and if you were an interdisciplinarian or part of a committee or designing or developing a committee yourself, and you aren't interdisciplinary to begin with, like we had that exercise about domestic violence. Well, what kind of committee disciplines are represented on that committee for this? And I would say that, of course, you could have sports on there. Sports is a discipline, sports management, sports things. But ideally, I think you'd get into psychology of the gambler, right? Psychology is a big one there. Economics, okay, because they certainly play a part. Otherwise, Arizona wouldn't just welcome if they were doing just economic. If it was just going to be, a wash, everybody has to get a piece of the action, right? And you can look at sociology. What would sociologists say, or what would sociology as a discipline say in terms of the impact of gambling? We've talked, lotteries. When I was young, lotteries weren't around. We had to drive down to Illinois to get our lottery ticket from Wisconsin, and now it's common knowledge. You can call it progress or what have you, but these things had to be looked at in such a way. And interdisciplinarians are prime candidates to understand how it needs to be looked at. Okay, so that's a good one. Also, there's another one here from ASU, which I'm really proud of. If you guys aren't getting these newsletters, you should sign up for them. You can do that through um, my ASU. Now, there's another one here. Well, that shouldn't happen. Let's try this. I'll include these links. ASU exhibit uses art to explore mass incarceration. So there's two kind of disparate disciplines right there, art and justice studies, okay? It's a very interdisciplinary exhibition. And it's what I did as an artist too, as well, when I got into things like this stuff back here, and over here also and there. I used imagery, multimedia images, photography, and such to um, set up in my booth, my exhibit uh, about African American studies. Transatlantic slave trade was more specific. I did a couple of installations for the Juneteenth Day Festival here, Valley of the Sun, Juneteenth Day in 2000. I'm going to say 10 and 11. Could have been 11 and 12, but I think it's could have been 9 and 10 actually. Um, and so I had some big pieces, big things that I did with my art to and also to bring in documents. In fact, one of them had to be like 2013 or 2012 because I was in African studies and there had been a discovery of new slave ship records, and we used those because there were names on it and a lot of what happened to them, and we put that in there, drew people in. I mean, I did. I drew people into my booth at Juneteenth Day, looking at the images, a variety of images and such. But then there were these documents and information. So it was a combination intellectual and artistic, however amateurish at the time, but I was proud of it. So I'll include those things, okay? Let's get into something else, and a little house cleaning, I call it. Due dates. Due dates are based on the clock. They're date and time, right? And remember, they're based on Arizona time. I'm sorry, it has to be based on something, right? I can't, make everybody have a different due date depending on where they are. I mean, might have a student in China, might have a student in Europe, wherever. I've had them, so I'm not making it up. We have to keep it a baseline. So it's based on Arizona time. We don't do daylight savings time. So right now, during your session here, we are on Pacific time with California and the West Coast. In October, right in the middle of that session B, and be aware if you're taking other online courses, we go to mountain time because we don't observe daylight savings time. So when everybody else falls back an hour, we stay where we're at. So instead of us falling back, well, we find ourselves, instead of 6 in the morning, it's 7 in the morning. I mean, because but we're not daylight savings, so you got to be ready. So if you're not in my time zone, and you might see due date September 13th, or I'm sorry, the due date on the assignment says September 13th for 11:59 p.m., right? Because that's the end of the day, right? So I give you that day, end of the day, 11:59, right? So would they get a fourth? Oh my God. Okay, so then we have uh, 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 if you're on Central Time, you're 2 hours difference than me. So it's not going to say September 13th, 11:59 on your calendar clock thing, little thing in Canvas. It's going to match your time, and so when it's September 13th, 11:59 my time, it's going to be September 14th at 11:59, 1:59, right? And if you're an hour apart in your mountain time, it's going to be 0:59. If you're on the East Coast, it's going to be 2:59, 3 hours. But don't focus on the day then, because the hour is important. So it's still going to be due the 13th. I say don't mess with it, man. Don't mess with time. Einstein taught, no, he didn't. But just try not to be confused about it, okay? There's no other better way to do it. I swear to you, there isn't, all right? Okay, so the discussion boards 3.1, 3.2, very interesting. One thing I want to emphasize again is that we are an interdisciplinary studies program. We're not interoccupational program. Have you ever heard of that? No, me neither. Which is why we're using disciplines and not occupations. We can use occupations after we use disciplines, right? So it's interdisciplinary. So keep that mindset to stay in the disciplines. It's an academic field we're in. We're in a field of study. Interdisciplinary disciplines, okay? So disciplines, not occupations. All right, I was going to say, let's say you're an insurance salesperson, and you use it to describe being interdisciplinary. I'm getting spammed like mad today. It's ridiculous. I know Apple had some major security breach or something. So if you were going to say you were describing an interdisciplinary thing and you said, well, it's a salesperson, insurance salesperson, they're interdisciplinary. How? There is no degree in insurance salesperson, right? But if you were to say that it's someone who's academically accredited or experienced in business and psychology and economics, all capitalized, by the way, well, they could be their occupation could be salesperson, but they're interdisciplinarians because they understand the process of integration and are accredited in their degrees or concentrations, right? So when you get into the discussion boards and say biologists for the get-go and engineers, mechanics, you're not telling me anything in terms of disciplines. You're not. You're gonna get dinged, okay? They're great occupations, but where are the disciplines, right? Okay, in this course, in this field, it is the disciplinary that is most important. Again, it's not interoccupational studies, is it? Okay, if you remember that, you're all well on your way as an interdisciplinarian. It all starts with academic disciplines. I would really want you to be hardwired, if nothing else, into this class to know that this interdisciplinary is about academic disciplines, and interdisciplinary equals what? Integration, right? Okay, so we don't integrate occupations, we integrate disciplinary knowledge, okay? Remember that integration is the process, and that's why it's so important. Interdisciplinary studies is this field, integration is the process, okay? All right, so then there's these, I hear some, I guess students might write an interdisciplinary perspective or whatever. What does that mean anyways, okay? Interdisciplinary perspective, and I'll give you some examples of misuse of interdisciplinary studies. Now, I'm not saying who these are. I have no idea. I just copied and made a list as I went along. Okay, quote, the first integration in this video was the sticky bot. The first integration in this video was the sticky bot. The sticky bot is not an integration, okay? We integrate ideas, concepts from disciplines. The sticky bot isn't an integration, okay? It might be a product of integration, but what was integrated, right? Okay. Okay, once they started to integrate their knowledge of a gecko's physiology and motivity. Okay, very clumsy. I want you to think about it. They did. They integrated the knowledge, not of a gecko's physiology and motivity. They integrated their knowledge from, it could be physics, okay? It could be biomechanics, biology for the gecko. Okay, but I don't think it was physiology and motivity. Those are more complex, concepts than they are fields of study, disciplines, right? And they weren't capitalized. So, okay, quote, they didn't realize the phenomenal capabilities of the gecko consist of multiple parts, just like the interdisciplinary studies requires more than one skill. I'll read that again. They didn't realize that the phenomenal capabilities of the gecko consist of multiple parts, just like interdisciplinary studies require more than one skill. No, that's wrong. Interdisciplinary studies requires a number of skills, yes, but be specific. Integration, okay? The capability of the gecko, it's just apples to oranges. It's kind of a reach here, okay? Remember, we're talking about disciplines, talking about the issue or the topic of the problem, the artifact, identifying disciplines that can be used in there to integrate information to solve or analyze this issue, topic, problem, artifact. And then we use those. Think of that step by step. Try not just throw it in there. I know I appreciate the word integration, but okay. So another one. After watching this video, I think this is the perfect example of how an interdisciplinary approach is the best. Okay, it's not the best. It's not a competition. It's an applicable formula or field area that works in some cases. It's not the best. Okay, if you want to articulate that after watching this video, this at first might have not appeared to be a complex problem for the scientists, but it ended up being a complex problem that integration, interdisciplinary studies help to resolve. Not the best. There's no competition, best, worst, whatever. There's appropriate ways to look at things, right? Okay. Now, I want you to avoid absolutes. This reminded me. Avoid absolutes. the best, always, never. Avoid that in any academic paper you write because you can never back it up. It's always hyperbole. The sky is always blue in Arizona. Well, it might be for 350 days a year, but not always. Okay. It's always hot here? Hell yes. No, it's not always hot here. In the wintertime, it cools down. So avoid absolutes. That's just pro tip. Pro tip. Okay. For discussion boards, do not do attachments. If you do an attachment, you'll get a 0, and I'll tell you to post it correctly. So that's okay. And I also want you to do real well in your organization of your work. Discussion 3.2. This was great for Petri, okay? Some of you didn't use the reading for some reason because I think Petri is splattered all over the instructions, but there were specific responses I was looking for all 7 of those prompts. To those of you who numbered them 1 to 7, I say thank you so much. To those of you who tried to put 7 responses into 5 or 6 paragraphs, my synopsis short-circuiting does not thank you. Okay, I'm thinking about getting rid of all discussion boards and go in the future. If it's numbered in the prompts, go ahead and number the heck out of that thing in the post. Organization, most of you have got it. Okay, and it's really cool to be able to match that up. Okay, this is not a literacy course in terms of you need to demonstrate how to write papers and all that stuff. You're going to write some, but I want you to get the information here. Okay, if the instructions have numbers, by all means, put them in the response. Okay. All right. If anybody wants any more specific, by the way, I've got a lot of good questions from students about some of these. I got a lot of good questions about the quizzes. After they find out they got something wrong, they'll say, why did I get this wrong? You know, I appreciate that. Okay. And I'll tell you why you got it wrong. Or in some cases, oh boy, it's too, some cases I'll give it up for you. I know we haven't got to Easter egg number 1 yet. Oh my God. Okay. So jumping down now. By the way, you saw 6 and 7 in the discussion. What is a cognitive map? And list at least 4 elements of a cognitive map. Remember, module 5, starting next week, you're going to be doing maps, 2 of them, 1 for each of your concentrations. You're going to do a cognitive map, and it's not going to be about how to get from here to Austin. Okay, it's going to be, because some of you didn't get that part. You didn't see it in the article. You went off and got some other kind of cognitive map, okay? But you're going to be doing that in module 5, all right? Boy, it sounds like Star Trek, Rigel 7. Okay, Easter egg number 1, identify and capitalize disciplines. Identify and capitalize disciplines. So important that you use those disciplines instead of occupations. You can use occupations with them, but you always have to use disciplines, and you need to capitalize disciplines, right? I want you to remember that. Okay, this module, you're going to be looking at the different models. Tanner's model. Let me get into this. We're going to be moving quickly through the rest of this now, I think. Or should I do one of those intermission? They used to do in old movies. Intermission, please visit the popcorn stand. Tanner's chapter 6, 7, and 8. It's only about 27 pages. Based on research methods. This is important. If you take 302 with me, we're going to read it again. Okay. Then you're going to see the attachments for Repko, Newell, and Klein models. All right. Repko and Newell and Klein are 3 big names in IDS, and they had their models that they used to analyze something through interdisciplinary studies, right? Then I've got you looking at the Tanner model. That's the one in the book. I think it's on page 34, maybe in the new one. It's on 35. I don't know, but they're all in the book anyways, too. But Tanner model is what we use in 302. It's great. It's easy. 5 steps. Okay. Then there's the following materials supplemental to this module. That means it's not requirement, but it is pertinent to your degree and probably stuff. So you could download and save them. You know, the Newell, A Theory of Interdisciplinary Studies, and Klein, The Integrative Core. They're great reads. Thankfully, you're not forced to read them in this class, but download them and save them because they will help you in the future, okay? Let's move on to discussion 4.1, how networks help us understand the world. You should love this article. It's so cool from ideas.ted.com, and it's basically 5 years old already. Wow, it's going to be 5 years old exactly on Thursday. You'll like all these diagrams of networks, imagery, okay, gorgeous networks it's called. And then there's a TED Talk that goes with it. So I'd like you to do the discussion, follow directions closely, and it's pretty self-explanatory. This one is 20 points for the main post, and 2 responses are 10 points each. All right, then we have discussion 4.2 is close to my heart. It's North Dakota's Norway experiment. This is something that I discovered and I implemented here. It is from Mother Jones magazine, and it goes back to, the date is July, August 2017 issue. Very interesting. I think you'll find it, because what I want you to do here, it's very important. I want you to read this and I discuss 3 different disciplines, okay? 3 things you get a degree in that are used in this that you can identify. Then as a exercise, you're going to follow the instructions, and look at 3, 4, and 5 are not going to be as intense as you would if you had a whole research project, but this gives you a sense of what it means to go in a step-by-step manner for an interdisciplinary analysis. It's worth up to 40 points. No response is required. There's no minimum word count because I'm looking simply for evidence of rigorous thought applied here. Academic rigor. Brevity is not a good idea here. Quality in the responses will be rewarded, not a bunch of extra words, but what is rigorous quality here is a demonstration that the reading was read and that the concepts and terms in the text of class are being utilized. Falling back on whatever you think without any rigor is not what I'll be looking for. So if you go back to, this is not in your own words, it's always in your own words, but it's what have you learned so far, all right? It's not like what did you have coming in here? So that's an important point. I think I get the Easter egg number 2 now, right? Let's see. Check all Easter egg number 2. IDS equals integration of academic disciplinary knowledge. Okay, I have understanding here, but I just wanted to expand on that for you because integration, IDS equals integration of academic disciplinary knowledge, because it's not the integration of, my plant and my hat, okay? It's not an integration of this phone and these headphones. It's an integration of disciplinary insight, disciplinary, academic disciplinary, XYZ. You figure it out, but I said knowledge, okay? All right, let's see, I got the discussion boards I talked about. Getting slammed here. Okay, for the quiz, Module 4, Quiz 3. It's 30 points, 40 minutes, Chapters 6, 7, and 8 of Tanner's Introduction. Remember, there are no trick questions. There really aren't. Feel free to send me. I know they're worth maybe a point a piece or whatever, so it's not like the end of the world kind of thing. But if you have a question about why you got something wrong, let me know, because we put together an answer key for all the quizzes that we can go and check with the text and see. Now, again, remember that we've got the 2 different ones going, 2 and 3. I think most of you have 3. And I checked all the pages. They match up really close. Okay, so that's good. Now, I think that's it. Everybody's doing well. Remember, the videos are worth 10 points. Let's go and get Easter egg number 3 out of the way so I can let you go here at about 24 minutes. And Easter egg, oh, I'm so funny to myself. Easter egg number 3 is, don't forget Easter eggs 1 and 2. Okay, so Easter egg number 3 is don't forget Easter eggs number 1 and 2, because those are really important, okay? All right, I think we got it. Questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. All right, the end of the semester session is going to be coming up on us real quick. It is going on 24.5 minutes. Forks up. Peace.